So I was just doing some sketching, didn't even think anything was gonna come from this, when I remembered a really old picture that I drew when I was back in my first few years of college. Yeah, this is absolutely atrocious, and I was just learning Photoshop at this time, but it shows improvement, so we never shy away from those old photos. Anyway, I pulled that up for reference, and I decided to use a similar pose, but now that I am older and wiser and know how to draw a body, I tweaked and I fixed that pose quite a bit. Typically, I like to start with the line of action, which is this line here, starting from the very top of the pose all the way down to the bottom, and then I'll go ahead and work in some of the anatomy. For a greater understanding of anatomy, it's really important to look back to the skeleton and the muscles. Hands are one of the hardest things for me to draw, so I had to use reference. Here I just took a picture of my hand holding the Apple Pencil, and it really came in handy. Once I've got the body down, I go ahead and fill in light sketches for the direction I want the hair to flow. Then with a different color pencil, I'll go in and start sketching some of the details of the clothing. I use blue just so that my lines for the clothing won't get lost within the anatomy. And then when defining the hair, I used a red pencil, so that way those lines don't get mixed up with anything else either. Then once I'm happy with the sketch, I went ahead and turned the opacity down on my original layer and added a new one above it so that I can start doing some of the line art. Is this tracing? Absolutely. Is it cheating? Absolutely not. Especially because the sketch underneath was my own work, but I would never say that tracing is cheating, especially if you're not trying to pass it off as your own work. In fact, tracing can be some of the ways that help you learn how to draw. When I was in college, I would trace hand studies to help me learn how to draw the hand correctly, but as you can see, I still struggle with it. Hands are difficult, but don't give up. At this point, I knew I wanted to do something whimsical, so maybe have her summon a patronus, and my patronus is a black mare. But here's where I messed up. I pulled up dozens of pictures of references of horses for help, but I drew it all in pencil. So fast forward 3 hours of me sketching a dang horse in the wrong color, and I finally got it right. I decided on the light pen, and it looked so much better. Now that all the line art is done, here comes my favorite part, coloring, and there's really not much to that. I pulled up a picture that I drew of my character a while back as reference for the color, but otherwise I just went for it. The coloring is fairly simple. You get your base layer down and then you go over it with shading and highlights, and I did very minimal highlights because I knew that because there was going to be so much light coming off of her wand and the patronus and the spell itself that I was going to go in and do a different type of lighting as an overlay. And here we go with that reference again. I had no idea how I wanted to convey this, so I needed to look up a lot of fan art and some canon art from the official Harry Potter website as well. From this point on, it was just a mixture of brushes, colors, technique to try and get the overall look I was going for. And at every phase of this, I sent it to a friend and asked for critiques. Critiques help you figure out what's missing, things that you may not catch because you've been staring at the same picture for so long, or fix certain items that just don't fit. It was at this point where I thought I was done. I took a break and came back and I realized that her colors were too saturated and bright for the color scheme, so I had to go over with a blue overlay and cool her down. And no work of art is complete without your signature, so I went ahead and dropped that in at the bottom and we're done. I am completely blown away by this piece and I am so in love with it. I love looking back at the recordings of my drawings. They're just so entertaining, so I figured I'd upload one of these, see how you guys like it. Give it a like if you like the content. And thanks for all the love and support. I'll see you next time.